Welcome to the Emotional and Mental Health Summit. My name is Dolores Andrew Gavin and I'm your host. I am the founder of The Mythic Fairy, a dedicated children's website for all things emotional health. I'm also the author of 2 children's books, an empowerment and assertive coach, a podcaster, blogger and mum. I have 2 reasons, I guess, for doing this summit and bringing it together. And firstly, it's to support the whole conversation that's already there around emotional and mental health. And secondly, I also want to bring tools to people to show them that, I suppose, firstly, that there are tools that we can use to help us, whether that be learning something like emotional freedom technique or helping ourselves to step into our power by finding our voice. There are lots of different tools I'll share on this summit from the speakers that will be speaking. And also, of course, you also will hear from people who have been on a journey themselves. So it's always good to know that we're not alone and that others have travelled the same path possibly as ourselves. I hope that you enjoy the summit. Thanks for being here. Welcome back to the Emotional and Mental Health Summit. My name is Dolores Andrew Gavin, and in this episode I am delighted to speak with wellness mentor, yoga teacher and yoga practitioner, Louise Tyrrell. You're very welcome, Louise, and welcome to the conversation.
Thanks, Dolores. It's absolutely wonderful to chat with you as always. I have to say I'm a little bit nervous, even though I teach people about managing stress, but I find it's funny in any situation like this, like it's kind of like a mixture of butterflies in my tummy and then like my nerves tingling a little, and I'm never quite sure whether it's excitement or fear or somewhere in between, but I am delighted to be here.
Well, that's great. I think a lot of people will resonate with that, Louise, even you starting off and being honest enough to say that, because you know what, we're all human, and even as practitioners we do need to have other people help us at times, and we do have emotions as well. It doesn't mean just because we are a practitioner practicing in this area that we have it all covered.
Yeah.
So Louise, I suppose starting off, I'd love to share your story with people, because this is about sharing stories for people and how we can overcome any emotional upheavals we might have in our life, or ways that we can maintain our mental health on a daily basis. And you had an accident going back to in your 20s, so can you maybe start off to let us know a little bit about that and how your life changed from that moment on?
I can, if I can recall back that far. Yes, Dolores. I was 25, and I was recently married, had bought a house. The insurance company that I was working in had just been taken over, and it was a very stressful time actually, just trying to readjust all of those situations. And it was 1992, and before I knew it, the mortgage rates doubled, and I found myself like under terrible stress in work, trying to work overtime to pay a mortgage and just to keep myself financially afloat. I was working extra hours. I was ignoring my health, which we do when we're busy. I was not taking care of myself really, like I was eating on the go and just basically like feeling under pressure. So I kept saying to myself, like, I'll start next week, I'll go for a walk, I'll start this, I'll start that. And anyway, I didn't. So one evening, after a very busy day at the office, I was in my car driving and feeling absolutely famished, thinking I'd never get home to have my dinner. Started to rain, turned on the window wipers, which were broken, and I was thinking, oh my God, like, why didn't I get the window wipers fixed? I was giving out to myself about that. Then the lights went red, and then I started obviously cursing at that too. And stopped my car, but the car behind me, who had no intention of stopping, smashed into the back of my car. And like, I can't recall everything that happened. I just recall like just being thrown forward, banging my head off the steering wheel. Like in those days, the seatbelts weren't fantastic. There was no airbags or anything. And just banged my head off the steering wheel, and I just started to tremble, shake, and tears were just pouring down my face. And I was thinking, oh my God, that did not just happen. And I actually didn't know what to do. Like, I'd never been in a situation like that before. So anyway, the next day, like had medical treatment and everything, but the next morning I woke up and I was I actually couldn't move in the bed. And from then I ended up like being off work for about, I don't know, it was probably a year.
Wow.
I was off work for quite a while. I had suffered a sort of a serious back injury and whiplash to my neck. And when we think about whiplash, like we think, oh, sure, whiplash, like everybody has that. But unless you actually have it, like it was excruciating pain in my back, excruciating pain in my neck. Like anytime I went to turn or twist or do anything at all, like it was so sore. And because
what job were you working in, Louise?
I was a life assurance underwriter at the time, and like I loved my job, I have to say, even though it was stressful. I mean, I loved it. And all of a sudden, here I am at home, and it's a novelty for a couple of days to be off work, and to be able to just get up whenever you want to and sit in front of the TV. But the novelty soon wore off, and I found myself like feeling isolated and feeling lonely. And I mean, I was married, but I was going for medical treatment. I was on medication, which was making me feel even worse. And with the result that like my mood went very low. I started to, I was eating comfort eating, obviously, and really feeling like frustrated and terrible. But a turning point for me, I suppose, was that it was around Christmas this particular year, like well after the accident, and I was almost like I didn't want to go to my family for Christmas dinner. I was just too, like, I was sort of self-conscious about myself. I just felt like, oh my God, like I'm just not really up to like all the family and everything. So I wasn't going to go, but anyway, I forced myself to go. So I'm sitting at the table, everybody's there, gobbling down another spoonful of trifle, I suppose, which was absolutely delicious. And next of all, my grandmother, who was sitting like opposite me, who wasn't very diplomatic, just said across the table to me, she said, like, I think you've had enough trifle, Louise. And I was going, what? She goes, yeah, you've had enough. She says, you're after getting very fat. And I said, oh my God, and like this granny, like, well, she lived to be 101, so she was probably had, some healthy mind or healthy body, but like she was a tiny little granny. And I mean, she could have actually just in that moment, it was like as if she had just walked around the table and dug a dagger in my heart, because I just felt totally deflated. And I went home that night and I already knew like how bad I was. I mean, I was on a waiting list for surgery in Beaumont Hospital, but I was a public patient, so like that was going to take months. But I was meant to have my some spinal work done, like discs fused and all sorts of stuff. And but I went home that night and I lay tossed and turned all night, and I was thinking like, oh my God, like something has to change, like I need a miracle, because I just can't obviously go on like this. I mean, I felt actually like, I knew I had gained a lot of weight, like I'd actually put on probably like a few stone, and I thought actually at one point I was just going to explode, and I felt like totally terrible actually. Even though like I had very good support like from my friends and family, but I think sometimes like you just bottle it up, you don't really be thinking, like I didn't want to burden anybody or tell anybody how I really felt. So I would often just pretend like I was fine, like people would say, how are you? I'd say, Ash, I'm grand. But really on the inside, like I was actually like really, really distraught. I was crumbling. So anyway, I wished for a miracle, probably prayed for a miracle. And the next morning, well, it wasn't even the morning, it was probably the afternoon by the time I eventually woke up the next day. Like I'd even gotten to the stage where I was saying to myself, like, why bother even setting an alarm clock? Because there's nothing to get up for in the day. So I remember walking down the stairs, and just right in front of my stairs when you walk down was the front door. And I could see a couple of letters on the front door like, that the postman had thrown in. And then there was this like little random slip of paper. And I walked over and I said, like, picked it up, and I was going, gosh, what's that? So it was the tiniest little flyer, like, I'll just show you. Like it wasn't a poster size. Like it wasn't even like a flyer size. You know the way like a flyer is an A5. Like this was like folded again, like this tiny, tiny little flyer, and it said, yoga. YOGA. And I was already thinking, like when I saw it, I just laughed, because I had only been saying to my family, I said, look, I'm trying to help myself, like I'm trying to get better. I have tried the A to Z of therapies, and here I am looking at the letter Y for yoga.
Okay.
Like, what to the Z? So the flyer simply said, relaxing yoga, exercises and breathing, Monday, 9:10, and the lady's name, she was Lorraine, was her name. So I looked at the flyer and I was going like, oh my God, like I had heard of yoga, but we're thinking of like, this is the 90s, like yoga wasn't really well known. And so I looked, and then I just left the flyer like on the counter, did nothing, kept saying, oh yeah, I must ring, I must do something, or maybe that's the answer, or maybe that will help me. So eventually I picked up the phone and I phoned the lady Lorraine, and it was great in those days, like you could have a chat with her, and I explained what was going on, and she said, look, the yoga, she said, I really believe yoga is going to help you a lot. So I said, well, look, like I'm totally, like I'm actually really, I'm embarrassed, I said to her, I'm totally out of condition, I'm really inflexible, I wasn't naturally fit or flexible anyway, but I said, and she said, look, just come along to the class. And I went to my first class, literally crawled in the room.
Isn't that great that you found somebody that's so supportive though, really, like, you know, I mean, isn't that?
Yeah. She was
that's what you needed, like, you know, you needed space, you needed someone to hold space for you to actually even make the brave move of doing yoga that you weren't too sure of what it was about.
Yes. She was so nice, like, I mean, she was so encouraging. She explained to me that yoga is not about, you know, you don't have to be able to do anything, you just have to be yourself, you just come along and let's see what happens. And she explained to me, she said, I walk around delivering all them flyers. She said she just goes door to door. Like in those days, there was no social media posts or fancy flyers. She had actually done it on a typewriter.
Wow.
And photocopied it in the local library and just went around the doors delivering them. So anyway, I started doing the yoga. I was embarrassed first of all, and then I couldn't do what everybody else was doing. Not that there was no competition really in the room. Anyway, like everybody was just like so nice, and I felt like I actually used to look forward to going then. I used to be dying, you know, for Monday evening to come around, and even though it was 9:00 at night time and some nights it was dark, most nights it was dark probably, like I used to think, oh my God, like, you know, I feel when I'm there, like I can just be myself, I can just lie on the floor, I can just move my legs, move my arms, you know, I can just feel like alive again. And yoga within the space of, now it took a good few months now, all right, but I went back to the consultant in Beaumont and I said to the consultant, I said, look, I have been doing yoga. I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to feel a lot better. And they did some more scans, and he said, we can chance actually, you know, continuing with that and not doing the surgery.
Okay.
So I said, oh my God, like really? He said, well, like you're in your 20s, so it's probably better if we don't, you know, if we just take this other option first of all and see what happens. And he was really actually, I mean, I was shocked to think that he was, you know, thinking that way, but he was. And yoga literally, I mean, it saved my life. It brought me back to life. It started to give me confidence. It gave me energy. I was sleeping better. And because of the yoga, then I started to eat better. I started, like, the weight, I mean, it took time, but like I did start to lose the pounds. And I was so, I suppose, so inspired by Lorraine. I was so inspired by yoga. I said, I want to study this more. So the best thing for me to do at that time was to be a yoga teacher, because that was the way I could learn more about yoga.
Sure.
I don't know if I really had the intention of teaching it, but it was just amazing. Like, there was so much to learn about the body, like so much to learn about your health. I mean, and I suppose I realized as well in my 20s, which was lucky, that like your health does matter. You know, like how you feel. Like at the end of the day, if you don't feel good, you know, it's not going to, you're no good really. So I was very blessed, I think.
And it's great that you say yourself, you were lucky that you had your journey so early in your life so that you could go on and help other people then, and then like empathize with them as well, you know, understanding what, because back pain is rampant, you know, people suffer so much with back pain, and it's great that you know, it's great to find a modality, a therapy. And I think I would look at yoga, even though I'm not a regular, I don't practice yoga regularly, but it's so mind, body and spirit. I don't do it because I do other things, I guess.
Of course, yes.
I haven't got into it.
Yes.
Talking to you now makes me go, maybe I should. I think it works on the whole body, as you say, you know, not just the body, but the emotional and the spiritual as well, which treats us as a whole, really, as opposed to just treating a symptom.
I mean, it does, absolutely. I mean, and to be honest with you, like, like even when I'm talking with people, like I'm not a yoga fanatic, because like obviously I love other things as well. I think that even if people are chatting with me like about movement, about stress, about not feeling great, like I say, like find something that you love to do, whether it's walking or swimming or dancing around your living room, which I like to do a lot. I just put the radio on and dance, because I think like any sort of movement, just really to shake,
Yeah,
just to give yourself a
I
shake.
love dance as well.
Because it just gets the endorphins going. Like, I mean, it just sort of, you just feel good when you move.
Yeah,
And whatever it is that you like to do, that's what to do. Like, because I mean, obviously, like there's about like how many different sports are there, how many different exercise systems are there that we could be doing. So it's to find one that you like, that one that you'll be inspired to do and you want to do, and to try to do it. Even though, like, I mean, what I find is, and I know it happened to me in my 20s, and it has happened like on one or two occasions since as well, like just other stressful things that happened. But like I think sometimes like you can sort of feel, and from talking with people, like they say to me, like I'm just really not fit, or I'm not really flexible enough to go to yoga, or like I have an ache here, I have a pain here, I haven't got the time. And it's amazing, like I think if you can just take like something has to change, like really, you have to just make a decision that you are going to, that I think you have to have hope. That's what I think as well, like that no matter how you're feeling, or no matter what sort of, state, I suppose we call it, but no matter what sort of condition you've gotten yourself into, no matter how far down the slippery slope you feel that you've actually slid, like you can always, like there's always something like something or somebody like just to grab hold of, and just to
yeah,
just to take even a little small step, because even just one small step is a small step in the right direction, and
absolutely. And I think you found the hook there with Lorraine, that little piece of paper, and it's just,
yeah,
you're encouraging people to just find a hook like that where they can
exactly,
find some small bit of hope
yeah,
when we're going through in the midst of a storm.
yes.
So is there a particular type of yoga that you practice, Louise? Because
Mm.
I'm not. I did go to restorative yoga once. Now I do have my own back issues, and that's why I think
Yeah,
yoga. I haven't done it enough. But is there one particular
yeah.
way to practice?
Well, I trained in traditional yoga, which is called hatha yoga. Now, that word hatha probably doesn't make sense to a lot of people, but what like since I trained in Ireland first of all, then I spent some time in America studying yoga and meditation with Deepak Chopra. I studied with him. I studied with Eckhart Tolle. I studied with Wayne Dyer, like all like in person studies.
Wow.
And and Anthony Robbins, Harv Eker, lots of them. But like to learn from the people who like I admired, like I feel I was, lucky to go
Yeah.
train with them. But I just had a fascination like with the whole thing. Like I mean, I think as you say, like it's not just about the body, it's about the mind, it's about like the feeling, it's about the soul or the spirit, if you think that way. But I think that any type of yoga, like hatha yoga is the one I did, and since I've done restorative yoga, I teach yin yoga as well now. I mean, I teach a good few classes like every week, but yoga is changing a little bit as well. Like there's a lot of fast fitness type yogas out there, and that's fantastic for people who are looking for that. I
Sure.
don't teach fast, furious fitness type yogas. I teach it's sort of like a yoga where I suppose I've developed my own yoga in a way, like
Yeah.
combined all the different types, but it's more of a gentle movement. Now I do all the yoga poses, but just in a sort of a mindful way where people really feel what they're doing, and like, why am I moving my arm that way? Like, why am I stretching my back that way? Like, what's going to work for me? And when I'm teaching a class, like I always like to have some sort of a plan in my mind before I get there. But when I get there, like within the first few minutes, like I'll see who's there, like, and I'll just know, and I'll just sort of pick up on what they need. And I always include like everybody in the class. Like there'll never be an occasion where somebody can't do something, because I just won't be doing that the person can't do. And I think that can happen like in some classes, or not any type of classes. You want to feel confidence. You want to help people to build their confidence, and just to help them to feel good about themselves is really it.
Great. So you combine meditation as well.
I do, yeah. I teach meditation, and it's a very mindful yoga. Now it can be a bit challenging, like for depending on, but it's generally like it's excellent for everybody. And like people of all ages are in my class. I mean, there's a woman going at the moment, like in her 80s, and we'll say like a few months ago, I do yoga for your hands and feet as well as the body, because I think sometimes like in sports, we concentrate a lot on the arms and the legs, building up, and we forget that we have hands and feet on the ends of them. So I do yoga for your feet and yoga for your hands, and actually yoga for your face as well. But
do you do facial yoga? Yes.
But this woman, I mean, was in the class a couple of months ago, and she, as I say, like she in her 80s. It's an older generation class that I teach, and like we were doing this movement for the feet, like, and she couldn't do it, and I was helping her with that, like, but obviously letting her do it herself as well. Like I don't do anything for anybody, but as in like I don't make anybody do anything, or I mean I let people just at their own pace. So she came up to me at the end of the class a couple of weeks later, and she says, oh my God, she said, I couldn't do any of those foot things at the beginning, like just lifting your heels really off the floor. And she says, and now I can do 4. Like, imagine. And she's just like delighted. So I think for all ages, it's just about moving, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's also about, I mean, you holding that safe space as well, that you said someone did for you in the beginning too, because, I mean, if we go somewhere and we don't feel comfortable and we don't feel, I suppose, included, maybe, we might not just go back. We might then give up. Yeah. It's no good. It's not for me.
Yes. Yeah.
And which is a pity, really. But I mean, this happens, I know, and it's no disrespect to the teacher or whatever. But like, if you go and like that you're giving people, you're mindful of the people that are in your class, and you're mindful that they're looked after. I mean, they're going to obviously benefit so much from that, because it's an inclusion, and I think it's the connection that you're building is so wonderful with people, so that you're allowing them to have their own healing in their own way. Well done, you.
Oh, thanks. Well, I do love it. I mean, I do love it. I suppose I believe in it so much. I suppose because, like, it did do, it did so much for me. So I do try to encourage, but I do encourage people just to do something that they love. That's the most important thing. And if you feel like, if you're not feeling great, like, just to reach out to somebody, like to pick up the phone. And I know you've covered like quite a lot of lot of resources that are available for people, or throughout the last couple of interviews and through your emotional and mental health summit, which is absolutely fantastic, by the way, because
thank you.
I think it's amazing that people can, that everybody knows. I mean, it's mad really, because like there's so much more information available now than ever before, but people are more stressed than ever before. Like it's not even funny. Like I've worked, I mean, with lots of different companies over the years, like teaching stress management skills, but like you just see people are under so much pressure nowadays. Like I remember, like I was in town last week in Dublin city centre, and in Dublin city centre now, if you're at the pedestrian lights, they have a countdown clock on the lights. Mm-hmm. So the little guy is red, so you stop obviously. And then like he's counting down, 10, 9, 8, 7. And next of all, this person just flew from behind me, like 5 seconds to go, charged out on the road. Like if you can't even wait 5 seconds, like you're, and I'm not judging that person now, by the way, but I'm just saying like that everybody seems to be, rushing everywhere. Like the traffic, it's nuts. Like, I mean, the M50, the speed limit is 100 kilometers an hour, and if you're driving at 100 kilometers an hour, people are beeping you to hurry up, and people are under, like, there's just a lot of pressure for people. There's, we don't even have weekends anymore. Years ago, like, I mean, you had a weekend off. There's no such a thing. Like, I remember when I got married, first of all, my husband was out cutting the grass on a Sunday or something, and the next door neighbour came out, like she was an elderly woman, and she said, she said to him, oh, no, he's looking, what? And she says, no, keep the Sabbath holy.
Oh dear.
Imagine nowadays, like, saying that to people. Like, I really recommend that you sit just on Sunday instead of, but I mean, like, that's not a possibility. I'm not saying that people need to do that or should do that. I'm just saying that, like, it has changed. Like, it has just changed so much over the years, and you just see people rushing and pushing themselves.
Yeah, I've forgotten to be mindful on that. Is there anything actually that you could, anything that you'd like to give us, any tip, whether it be facial yoga or something that somebody can do you know, on the fly, let's say, whether they're driving their car and stopped in traffic lights. Maybe I don't mean you to yoga while you're driving your car, but you know, something that we can do in our busyness to sort of to make a connection to stop or whatever.
Yes, there is.
Great.
Well, I'm going to and thanks for asking me, because this is something that I recommend that absolutely everybody does every day. And it's going, like, some people are just going to go, like, probably have a laugh now at this, but nowadays we're using our hands more than ever. As I was saying, like, even about the bodies resting on a Sunday, like, before mobile phones, we were sitting down, and when you sat down, your hands rested. Now, if you think of all the 1,000 things that your hands do every day without even the phone, like the tension that's building up when you're even pouring the kettle, the tension that's building up when you're brushing your teeth, the tension that's building up when you're driving your car, you're typing, like, you're just in the normal everyday activities, hoovering the floor, washing the dog, you know, whatever it might be. And nowadays, like, people's hands aren't receiving any rest at all, because when you sit down, the phones are coming up, you know, and people are, you know, like, switching across their phones and, you know, checking everything and typing and texting and gosh knows what. So in the same way, and this is just my belief, but in the same way that now there's queues in the hospitals of waiting lists for hip replacements and knee replacements, like, in the future, all this overuse of your hands, who knows? Do you know, like, I mean, you can even see in kids nowadays, like, their fingers are, their knuckles and everything. So anyway, if everybody's up to it, or if you're up to it, Dolores, we'll have a go at this, okay? And I do recommend this every single day. It's going to involve your hands, okay? It's just
great.
It's fun.
I'm holding my microphone here, actually, because I haven't it down, so I might not be able to.
It's just going to take, we'll do one hand then, because I just want to show you. One hand is good. So if you just take your right hand and just take your right hand and place your right hand out in front of you, and just glance down at your hand first of all, and notice your hand, and notice how many fingers you have, and notice your thumb. And when was the last time that you noticed your hand, that you even, you know, hello hand? So now we're going to do some movement for the hand. So we're going to start by just pulsing the fingers in and out. And this generates energy in the hand. So if your hands have been working hard and building up tension or tiredness, this will just, like, loosen them up a little bit. And then we're going to roll out your wrist. You just roll your wrist just nice and gently. Now, it's not an exercise for your hand. This is actually just to loosen away any tiredness or tension from your hand after all its busyness. And then roll your hand in the opposite way. And just begin to notice your breath as well as you're doing that, because sometimes we hold our breath when we are concentrating. And then just roll your hand around again in the opposite way. And then once more in the opposite way, same hand. And now just spread your fingers and see if you can stretch all the way into the tips of your fingers. So feel the stretch from your wrist all the way into the tips of your fingers. So just the same way as you would stretch any muscles in the body, just stretching into the tips of your fingers, and then release that stretch, and then stretch again all the way into the tips of your fingers, and release, and once more all the way into the tips of your fingers, and release. And then you love this one. So just give your hand a floppy shake from your wrist. Just flopping out and then out to the side. I often say to people, and then just wave bye-bye to any tension or tiredness in your hand or your body, and just continue to flop, and your hand is not going to fall off. Nobody's have done yet. And then just rest that hand down with your palm facing up. Just notice how it feels. And then notice your left hand and any difference. How does your right hand feel, Dolores?
Yeah, I can actually feel energy in it.
Yeah.
And actually with my right, I do have a little bit, I have a tendency of getting a little bit of carpal tunnel at times from typing very fast. And that.
Yeah. And what you have experienced there is, and I mean, I recommend, like, anybody who would like to do that, like, with both hands, obviously your right hand and then your left hand, or even your two hands together, like every day, like probably even just once or twice a day, so that your hands can release that buildup of tightness and tension that's happening without us even realizing. so that you can just generate that energy that you're speaking about. And that energy that you feel in your hand now is exactly what you feel after you practice yoga. Because you're doing yoga in that mindful way, you're moving, and as you're moving, you're generating energy, but you're also releasing any tiredness or tension so that your body starts to feel relaxed. Now, sometimes people think that relaxation is the opposite to energy. But when we speak about relaxation in yoga, or even just relaxation in general, you're not talking about plonking on the sofa in front of your favorite soap. That's not relaxation. That's not your body relaxation. That might be relaxing and that's fine, but relaxation is actually the opposite of tension. So when you can let go of tension or tiredness or stress or strain from your body, your energy flows more freely. And if you do, it's fantastic. And if you don't, then what's happening is that you're knackered by Friday. You're knackered maybe by Monday evening. People are falling into bed absolutely shattered from their day because they haven't done anything just to even, release the tension or the tiredness. You haven't taken a moment for yourself. It doesn't have to be a whole hour on a yoga mat or a whole hour in a class or anything like that. What you want to find is just little things that, even just like that, the hands, moving your feet, wriggling your toes, rolling your shoulders. This is a really good one to do when you're stuck at the traffic lights or stopped at the traffic lights, obviously, just to roll out your shoulders, because that helps your shoulders, and you just go nice and gently. And this is helping your shoulders to release any build-up of tension so that it stops building up. And what's wonderful is that when you roll your shoulders or shake out your hands or your feet or your arms or your legs or whatever, and you actually let go of that tension, that's exactly what's happening. You've let it go. It'll come back. It's not it's like a boomerang and it's going to come back into you. It's actually gone. And when it's gone out, more might build up, of course, but that's that part, that's gone. And then when we're keeping the bodies, healthier, you're keeping your body younger, I suppose, as well. There's no guarantees with anything, but obviously, it's just about, feeling good, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Absolutely.
Just to feel, and you'll feel so much more alive. I mean, if your hand can feel alive after 2 minutes,
yeah.
Your body will just feel amazing.
I love that, Louise. Thank you so much. So can you tell us a little bit about, I know the time is moving on, but can you tell us a little bit about facial yoga and what's that about? Because I see a little bit on Instagram a bit.
Yes, yeah.
You see people. Is that again to get the energy moving in the face? I just find it fascinating because it's not something that would have been around a while ago, as far as I know.
Yeah, facial yoga has it's the same idea. If we think about our thoughts, it's said that we have, when I studied stress management in the 2000s, we learned that there was 80 to 100,000 thoughts. You had 80 to 100,000 thoughts every day. Now, if you read about stress management or the mind, it said, it's 80 to 100,000 thoughts every day. So our thoughts are increasing. Now, I've never counted them, so I have no idea which one is correct, but we imagine, or we think our mind is here, just here. So a lot of people who are filled with anxious thoughts or, worry or stress, they'll be nearly squeezing, you can see people, some frowns developing. You can feel them sometimes in your forehead developing, or your eyes might be tight, or your eyes might be sore. A lot of people suffer with, and I used to as well, in the past, suffer with, clenching your jaw, even during your sleep, where you don't realize it. I suffered with that for years because when I was in school, when I was in school, I actually suffered a lot with tension headaches. I used to go home from, I'd go home from school for my lunch, and then I'd be on the way back into school, and I just have the most terrible headaches when I was in school. And I think I was just really stressed about exams and everything, and it was always worse at those times. But so I know that if you clench your jaws, it's not very good for your face or for your head or for your neck. So a lot of people carry tension or tightness in their faces. And the idea then with the facial yoga is that you just relax. You're just learning. And what's wonderful is that when you learn these skills, you can then just sprinkle them through your day without needing any special equipment. You don't have to, I know there's all this fancy yoga gear. I'm not into that myself now. I just go, I'm not into all the showy yoga stuff at all. But it's just, yoga is just a word, really, isn't it? I mean, it's a system, yes, of course, but it's for everybody, all ages, all abilities. And when you can learn to relax your face, and you do like little, tense your eyes and then just release them, and it's amazing how your eyes like nearly feel like sparkling diamonds in your head. And anybody can do this. Clench your jaw and then release it, and just, it's actually like a facial. Really. You've just done it yourself. So from the comfort of your own home, without having to look for parking somewhere, or drive a half an hour somewhere, you can just do these things.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thanks so much. But if somebody does want to park their car and go and visit you and do a yoga class with you, Louise, where can they find you?
Well, I teach classes in Dublin at the moment in Malahide and Swords, but I am going online soon.
Fantastic.
And,
tell us more.
Yeah, so people have been asking me for years, actually, and a lot of people are in the same situation that I've been in over the years, like where I decide, I'm going to take up a new hobby. And I sign up, I've signed up, I remember signing up actually for a gym a couple of years ago, and I paid my annual membership. And when my membership was being renewed the following year, the lady called me on the phone and she says to me, Louise, I'm just checking, do you want to renew your membership? And I said, gosh, I don't think I actually made it there very often. And she said, well, she says, yeah, you were here 21 times in the year. I said, yeah, and most of those times were actually, I was just going into the little coffee shop to meet my friend for a coffee.
Oh my goodness,
So many of us like sign up for something.
Yeah.
I remember years ago joining a badminton club and going out and buying the badminton racket and the shuttlecocks and everything, and then I just never went. Trying to find the time, trying to fit everything in. So people have been asking me for years, will I teach online? And I often, like at the beginning when I was watching even some yoga on the online channels myself, like I actually was thinking, that's not very safe, because how can you be in a yoga position that maybe, your head is facing the ground,
the
screen is in front of you or it's over to the side, and you're turning your head or twisting your body like to try to catch up. And I was never really fond of it now, to be honest. But what I'm going to do is it's going to be for beginners. So there won't be any fancy movements to start anyway. And whoever's, wants to join will be joining online, and I'll be going live like probably once a week or whatever, and teaching the group and then taking questions so that I can keep up with their needs. Really
brilliant. So it's almost like it's almost like going to your class, but you're just in the computer.
Exactly. It's going to a class from the comfort of your own home, so that you don't have to worry about being there or paying up and not being able to go or whatever. So yeah, so I'm excited about that. I'm nervous about that, but it's what I love to do. So
absolutely.
And I think it'll just, people will either love it or, if people want to do it, they'll do it.
Absolutely, and that's the way it is. A lot of people will be delighted with that, especially I think to moms. And will they be recorded then maybe as well? That if
it's going to be a full thing, because everything will be recorded. We'll be doing some live classes, but also I'll have pre-recordings of certain specific things. So say for instance, like Dolores, you mentioned your back. So like if somebody says to me, well, I have a pain in my back and all this stuff, try to find out like, well, what's going on for that person, and then I'll do like a little video for back care, which I've done in the past, not videos but in classes, like special snippets of how you can help your back or how you can help your neck or how what's good for what. So there'll be loads of content once I get going.
Oh, that's phenomenal. And fair play to you, because I do remember the times when babies are, if we're mothers, and that's we all have challenges whether we have kids or not, but like if you really want to get fit after having children, you can do it when the baby's asleep, even though I know that's the time we're told to rest. But sometimes doing something like yoga is very mindful anyway.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine it being something lovely if somebody was wanted to get back into shape, or they just felt themselves they wanted a little me time, and they can have Louise in their home. How wonderful would that be?
Well, it will be. I have to say, like in all honesty, like it will be wonderful for anybody. It's because like I'll also be doing every now and again, there's a new yoga that has, it's popular now. It's called Yin, Y-I-N, Yin yoga. Now I studied this first of all in 2006 in America, but it's becoming more popular now, but it's actually a restful, restorative yoga. So it's ideal before you go to sleep.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
it puts your body into a nice calm. But another wonderful thing that's good to do is, and you probably know yourself, Dolores, like if you're feeling overwhelmed, or if you're feeling stressed, just in a moment, like, is just to to stop in that moment and just to even tune into your breath, and just to just to allow your eyes. I mean, some people don't find it comfortable to close their eyes. Like, that's another thing with some of the meditations online, is that, like, you're told you have to sit straight, and like, I remember going to the Chopra Center, like, to learn meditation, and like you had to sit like this and to cross your legs in a certain way, and like to hold your hands in a certain way, and I was going like, oh my God, I don't think I can stay like this. Yeah. And then, like, I have to meditate as well, like, I have just to be still and to be silent. And I actually found it really, I just thought I was going to die actually a few times. I said, oh God, I just can't do this. So when I'm teaching meditation, I just encourage people just to sit or lie down comfortably, eyes open, eyes closed, whichever is comfortable for you, and just to allow yourself even just to tune into your body, just to maybe soften your shoulders, notice your breath, and then watch your breath. Watch your breath flowing in, just watch your breath flowing out. And it just has a very calming and soothing effect on you. And I have used this in so many situations myself, and that's how I know, like, it helps. It just helps in a moment. I remember the year that my dad passed away a few years ago, but I just remember, like, even the night that I got the news that, not that he had passed away, but the news that, like, he was, had terminal cancer, and, like, he was in hospital. And I just, like, I mean, I was kind of, switching from, like, shock and, like, shaking and everything. And then, like, I just, you just have to, it's about really finding something that just helps you to feel settled. That's the way I describe it to people, is that, like, whatever it is that you have, like, whatever tool you have in your toolbox, it just helps you just in that moment, no matter what it is, because life is going to happen. Like,
that's for sure.
me, it's actually, well, this isn't even funny, this one, but like, when my dad did die, and I remember standing at the we're all in the cemetery, and, like, my dad's coffin is just about to go into the ground, and, like, I just remember looking around at all my family and thinking, oh my God, like, we're just all, like, in shock. We're just all, like, I just could see all their faces, like, and we were all holding these sunflowers, because my dad loved sunflowers. So instead of roses, like, we all had a sunflower to throw into the coffin. And like, I was absolutely in bits that day, as you would be. And just as I was walking back to my car, or back to the big black car, which is, they're very daunting anyway, I think. But just as I was walking back, an old friend, like, who I hadn't seen in ages, walked over to me to offer condolences. And she just says to me, oh, by the way, this is, so and so. And I just said, oh, hi, thanks for being here. Like, it's nice to meet you. And I remember her friend just said to me, she said, oh, sure, you'll be grand. I've heard all about you. You know all the answers. You'll be grand. And I was just thinking to myself, like, and I didn't say it to her. I said, I'll be grand. I said, you obviously have no idea how I'm feeling. I will not be grand. I'm actually, like, even though, like, I'm, smiling and putting on a brave face that day, because that's what we do. Like, I was actually in bits inside, like, falling apart. I wished I had died myself, actually, because I just didn't know how to cope with that situation at all. But, like, it's funny how sometimes people think that because you're the person that helps people, that you just know all the answers. But
absolutely,
in fact, like, like, I use what I teach, and that's how I know it works. Because, like, whatever situation I'm in, if I'm waiting in the dentist, which I don't particularly like, or if I'm waiting on a bus, I'm feeling impatient, what I do is I try to use those opportunities now to actually just to close my eyes, or to leave them open, and just to breathe, so that I do feel settled. And that's exactly what I encourage people to do.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Just to feel settled. It's not life is not going to be all, as we know, all rainbows and roses every day. I think it's unrealistic to expect yourself to be happy all the time, or to be like, you know, delighted with life, or to have to pretend that you have to be delighted with life. I think there's too much pressure nowadays as well with social media. You know, people are posting like happy faces, and they might not be happy. They might just have a happy face for the post, and then like it's putting pressure on other people, you know, so I think to be honest with yourself, and to be like, to reach out if you need help, whether it's to, you know, to phone a friend, or to, you know, just to use whatever resources are there. Like there's always, you know, there's always hopefully something, there's always something that can help you. And that's, I think, if you can, if it's not a friend or a family member, whoever it is, but just to reach out, like if you need to, because there's always, I think nowadays, like there are people there to help everybody.
Well, that's great, Louise. Thank you so much. And tell me, what website will I direct people to if they want to contact you?
Oh, Dolores, I don't have a website.
Oh, that's fine. Well, then maybe a Facebook page. Not, we don't need one. It's great that you don't need one, actually. Fair play to you. You know, you probably get a lot of.
Well, it's that, and also that technology and me are not, you know, like I'm from a time where you went to a local shop to make a phone call. So,
yes, likewise.
Having laptops and mobile phones and everything, I'm just getting used to it all still. But yes, I will have a website soon. And I have a Facebook page. It's called ZEN Life Yoga Wellness Retreats, because retreats is something else I do. And also I have recently recorded a meditation.
Brilliant.
A meditation for stress relief. It's going to be released soon, and if anybody would like a copy, it's free. It's a free resource, so it's free. It'll always be free. And you can just please send me a message. Maybe send a message through the Facebook page, or just contact Dolores, or contact me, Louise Tyrrell, Tyrrell, or whichever way you want to pronounce it. But you'll find me somewhere, and everybody's welcome to the free meditation. It'll be released, but it'll be released soon, but everybody can have a copy of that.
Well, you're so kind. Now, I have a link under or beside the this video on the website anyway, on your page, so I direct people to wherever they want to be directed to. So Zen Life Ireland, I think, is yours, all right, on Twitter as well. I know I connect with you on Twitter as well.
Yes, it's Zen, ZEN Life, and then a capital I and a capital E. Actually, that's what it is on Facebook as well. Zen Life, capital I, capital E. Yes,
I remember it now, actually. Louise, thank you so much for being part of the summit. I really enjoyed the conversation, and I think it's great to talk about, and you've given people really simple things to do, but sometimes the simple things are the best things, because, as you say, we don't have to go out and get the fancy this, that and the other. You know, it's the simplicity of allowing and being aware of just that we need to release the stresses of a day without going to bed wrecked. If we could do that, maybe if we could roll our hands, if we can roll our shoulders, wherever we're holding our stress, tune into our body and release it, so that our night's sleep might even be better. We're not holding on to the tension of the day, so that when we get up tomorrow, we can start a little bit more fresher. And even though the day might throw lots at us, at least we're not carrying yesterday's energy with us as well.
Exactly. That's exactly it. That's exactly what I say. This what I do. Like, I help people to change the course of their health, so that they wake with energy and enthusiasm to enjoy every day and live life with ease as much as you can. And that's all you can ever do. Make the most of every day, regardless.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Louise. I really enjoyed the conversation with you, and people will have the link should they wish to work with you further or to get your free meditation, which fair play to you for offering people.
Absolutely.
I'll chat to you soon.
Thank you, Dolores. Have a wonderful evening.
You too.